Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Truth About Real Estate Investing show. My name is Erwin Cito. And have you heard of COVID-15? That's the 15 pounds you gained during the pandemic. Now, it is shorts weather now. So like a true Canadian, if temperature's above 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit to you Americans listening, I personally throw on shorts. But small problem, my 33-inch waist shorts are feeling a bit snug. It's actually funny because 2 years ago when I bought these shorts, 33, I was excited to find 33. It's not that common. 32 is too tight, 34, and I need a belt. But now I've gained all these extra pounds over the winter. So what are you gonna do about it? For me, you're gonna make lifestyle changes. Or you're gonna buy new shorts. Personally, I'm cheap, so I'm going to deal with it with dieting. Fasting is more the proper term. What's worked for me in the past is to consume only a bit of healthy fats in the morning with my coffee, specifically grass-fed butter and organic coconut oil, about a tablespoon of each. Then I won't eat until lunchtime. At lunch, it'll be my biggest meal of the day, and I'll avoid bread as that tends to make me feel bloated. When I get home, I'll ride my indoor Peloton bike because after that huge lunch, I'm not really hungry. My goal is to burn 500 calories minimum per day, and then I'll clean up and then I'll have dinner with the family. So this is what's worked for me. I've done it before under the guidance of my naturopath, Dr. Cowan. I know there's different ways of doing it. Just do what works for you. Everyone's highly customized. I've already dropped 5 pounds since I started, and I'm looking to drop another 5 before the lockdown ends, so I can lose this dad bod. And only because once the lockdown's over, we can invite some friends over to actually see our new house and hang out by the pool. On to this week's show. How to small scale develop a property using free land with the Infill boys. Before I introduce the guys, we are quickly approaching our 200th episode, and I want to thank all 17 of you listeners for being a part of this journey for us. This all started as a weekly blog in 2010, and that blog's still going. Then we started this podcast in 2016 to discuss the realities and learning lessons of real estate investing. Including how not to lose money, which is a great segue into our next month's IWIN meeting on Saturday morning, June 12th. Our team will be sharing what to look for from a wholesale deal and the top 5 questions to ask a wholesaler. We too receive emails from wholesalers, and this market's unregulated. And so, some of these folks are pitching what they call deals while apparently wearing rose-colored glasses. So don't be a sucker and overpay for a lemon, and join our IWIN meeting and stay for the second presentation, which is how to build a backyard suite in Brantford, Ontario, which is one of the more affordable and newest markets to allow the backyard suite strategy. Friend of IWIN, Andy Tran, will be in the house to share on his latest own investment property in Brantford, Ontario. Speaking of Andy, he's one of 3 real estate experts on today's show. We have Andy Tran, Charles Waugh, and Steve Ford. I called them the Infill boys. What a special treat. We discuss on the show where to find ideal properties, how to finance them, construction financing, who's needed on your team, especially around the build, soft costs, how developing property unlocks hidden equity, whether to hire a general contractor or not. We cover tons of tips and pitfalls to avoid. It's a pretty awesome episode, if I say so myself. Adam thought it was pretty good. I've done a considerable amount of business with Andy, Charles, and Steve, and can safely say they're good people. So please enjoy the show. So, what's keeping you guys busy?
In this cool November weather?
Actually, a lot. Just a lot of projects finishing up, and we've acquired quite a bit of projects in the last, say, 2 months. So
busy.
Yeah.
And the projects, are they focused in one strategy, or are they all over the map?
For our projects that we do together, they're mainly the small scale infills.
Yeah.
Where we buy oversized lot, sever it into 1, 2, or 3 parcels, and then build. So that's our main strategy together. On the side, we do some other investing as well.
All right.
Yeah, that's our main one.
The side stuff you guys don't do together? Like if you're doing a flip, you don't do it together, or?
I mean, we could. We
Case by case?
we haven't. It's just case by case.
I would say we're relatively all involved in each other's projects, whether it's just sharing information or checking it out and asking for tips and stuff. So we're all actively involved in each other's projects, but not necessarily specifically partners or co-ventures.
Well, like even under my company, if we're doing a second suite, Andy will help with the permit drawings and all that. But yeah, so we have our togethers, and even when separate, we help each other out as well.
That's interesting. Because when you guys formed like your partnerships, your joint ventures, whatever you want to call it, because you guys all have a different skill set. Can you guys talk to what your skill set and backgrounds are?
Yeah, so
Sorry, just before you start, because most of the people who are listening are usually pretty new at this.
Right.
They don't have backgrounds like you guys do. Like they're trying to get to have a background like you. Hopefully, one of you.
Yeah.
Or I think the mistake that people try to make is try to wear all the hats.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's why we're very successful, because we all come from different backgrounds.
Very successful.
Well,
I'm gonna need to hit you up for some money later.
We met through Rockstar, and I remember, I think it was after I presented about large developments. I remember Andy coming up and saying, "Yo, man, I want to do a development." So that summer, we found through James Meggs on your team, Martindale. That was our first project together, and he brought the secondary suite expertise. I brought the development, and then we severed off, built those semis with basement suites. Actually, we still hold it to this day. We're actually about to refinance that. And then soon after that, we met, like before the construction, we met Steve, and what a perfect person to complement our team to do the construction side.
Right.
They basically begged me to help them build the house because they had no idea. They had no idea what they were doing.
I heard the stories of all the stuff he caught. So let's take a step backwards. Andy, when did you start? When did you join Rockstar? Because I joined in 2010.
I probably joined 2 months after you joined.
All right. Did I?
It was 2010.
Was that independent decision of me being there?
I don't know. You should ask yourself that.
Because you and I go back to like 2008.
Yeah. So I mean, we were together at Rain, and I remember
Not
you
together.
Not together. No, like we acquaintances.
We knew of each other.
So you were actually talking to me about Rockstar. I'm like, Rockstar? What is this?
Yeah.
What kind of scam is this? Right?
Yeah, what kind of scam is this one?
Yeah. So you said you haven't heard of Rockstar, and so I looked into it. So this was 2009, I think. This was 2000. Yeah. And then I joined in, I think early 2010, and that's where you just got your license at that point, somewhere around there.
I joined Rockstar as an agent in 2010.
Yeah.
And I'm still there. Some people ask if I'm still there. Like, yes, I'm still here. until Tom and Nick dragged me kicking and screaming out of the door, and I'm still there. So Andy joined as a member, just to clarify. Andy's not an agent. And then Charles, when did you join?
I think I joined December 2014. I think.
Right.
I had met you at Rain first, actually.
Right.
In December, and then I joined Rockstar like a week afterwards. So yeah, it's been, I guess, over 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Steve, you came into.
I was a little bit later. Yeah, actually, a buddy of mine, Rob Quintana, he's a Rockstar member. He told me to come out, check out this thing. I was right on board, and they sold me from the first 10 minutes probably.
Right.
But that was probably spring 2016. So that's what kind of launched me into the whole real estate investing thing and networking, and that's why I'm sitting here right now, actually.
Right. And your Cambridge property.
Yes.
When did you get that? Was that part of this process?
That was my first house I bought. So I actually lived there I bought that in 2011.
Okay.
So I lived there for 5 years. I moved to Toronto, rented out a condo, and then that's where I became a landlord, is renting out my existing house. And I just recently sold that 10 years later. Because of that house, I was able to buy 3 other rental properties through refis. I just sold it, and that's given me enough of a down payment to buy a primary residence in Toronto. So
Toronto?
Yeah.
Most expensive city in the world?
One of them. But yeah, how unreal is that?
I know.
You want to announce that?
What's that?
Something.
What?
You buy your house.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm stoked. Yeah.
You just very casual. It's
Oh,
very
okay.
matter of fact. Yeah, allow you
Bought
to
a
buy
house.
it.
Yeah.
House that's cost over
How
$1 million.
terrible is that? We're just so used to like buying these houses and buying these projects now, where it's kind of just like, oh, I bought.
I know the deal is like
$1 million. Yeah.
It's just normal now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's great.
actually, I told my wife Jules, like the last project we bought in St. Catharines about a month or 6 weeks ago. Or just kind of after dinner playing with the baby and just, we bought a house today.
Yeah, it's very normal.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
business.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot of deals.
Yeah.
And I think especially during the pandemic, at least for myself, I don't have kids. There's been nothing to do but work, so we've been going crazy. And
Not even golf.
Not even golf.
Exactly.
So we, even like Steve said, in the last month or 6 weeks, I think we've done two or three deals. We bought a new infill in Wasaga Beach.
Mm-hmm.
That was out of left field.
That was out of left field.
Okay, sorry. Before we go, before you explain what an infill development is.
So it's where you buy like a typically an oversized lot, where you're able to sever into at least 2 lots.
But it's within an existing
the urban boundary.
The urban boundary. So an older part of town, maybe it's a wartime house where they had the small house on the big lot, and if the house is over on one side of the lot, maybe it's a double lot. And so we were able to buy this kind of small cottage. It had a double 100-foot wide lot. So if we can sever it down the middle pretty well, we can create another lot. So we're creating an infill lot.
Sorry, but that cottage was like in a suburban area. It wasn't.
Yep.
It wasn't like Muskoka on a lake.
No,
cottage.
it's more core residential Wasaga Beach.
Yeah.
10 minutes walk from the beach though.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Is there a certain age range that you find these lots in?
Not really, like age or even location. It depends. So for example, like if you're in Hamilton, on the mountain, there's going to be different zoning than if you're in the lower city. Lower city, you're going to be able to do denser product. There's going to be, the setbacks are going to be less.
Yeah.
So we don't really have ideal age or location.
Right.
It all depends on the zoning.
I'm just thinking like certain areas have different lot sizes. First, because like today it's townhouses, so
Yeah. So
that will never work.
Like Andy, what would you explain? Because you recently bought something in Brantford.
Yep.
And you were looking specifically for that large lot that's going to fit a garden suite. Like what would you? Those are those like 1950s, 60s.
Well, it depends what you're doing. So if you're doing, let's say, just a garden suite, it's very much the same strategy as a second suite. So a garden suite really is you're just adding
throwing
in
all this terminology people in it right now, but no.
So you want me to define garden suite?
Yeah, define a garden suite.
So garden
I call
suite
it a backyard suite.
Yeah, so garden suite,
So everyone
many
knows
different
25
names.
cents
That's a
every
new
time
one.
I say it.
Yeah.
Coach houses, backyard suites, detached accessory dwelling units. Basically, it's just a detached single unit that is in your backyard or in your side yard. And this is new legislation from the provincial government. It came into effect in 2019, and municipalities are basically trying to come up with policies to figure out how they're going to implement them into their cities.
Right.
So
and it's a full self-contained apartment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the unique thing in Ontario is that these are allowed to be third units, whereas in other jurisdictions, other provinces, and in the U.S., they're only allowed as second units. So in Ontario, we're allowed to do them as third units, right? So they're really pushing the density. And the strategies in terms of lots for that kind of housing strategy is really no different from what everybody's been doing with the duplexing, with the 2 units. You're looking at really the R1 suburban types of homes where you can add that in. The infill, though, is not necessarily in those kind of R1 neighborhoods. It's usually a little bit more challenging because the lot sizes are more uniform, so you're going to get more resistance. But if you go into a little bit of the R2 zones where the lots are a little bit irregular, there's not consistency, you can kind of push that through, and there's usually better support from the city. Right. That's kind of what I see when I speak to planners, is they kind of want to look for opportunities to densify without disturbing the neighborhood too much.
Other than irregular lot sizes, are there ways for folks to identify neighborhoods for infill opportunity? Like for example, when we're talking about for bungalows and basement suiting, we're usually looking at 1950s and 60s bungalows.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Is there an era for that when these irregular lots were more commonplace?
I find it's pre-1950. I find it's like early 20th century.
Right.
Like anywhere between like 1900 to like 1940, 1950 is kind of the sweet spot. Like in all the ones that we've worked on,
previous projects,
it's all pre-1950s.
Yeah.
It's all pre-war.
Even
right?
Yep. Weston St. Catharines, that was like a 1902 corner lot.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to try to help the listener understand what to look for.
Sure.
Right. So if we can when for example, when we identified 1950s bungalow, I know exactly where to go.
I think the easier way to say it is just look for that extra large lawn or like I say look for the green. Go on Google Maps. Go bike. Go drive. Go look for the green.
Yeah.
Go look for that detached garage on the side. That extra large side yard, rear yard, corner lots we love. Simple as that.
Or even a single family home where maybe they've done a large side addition. So maybe you can actually remove the addition, maintain that existing house, and create a new lot. So you got to be really creative these days. But yeah, they're all over the place.
They are all over the place, and that's one of the things that we want to teach our students is how to look for these opportunities, because they're literally everywhere. There's not like certain neighborhoods. The only thing that Andy was talking about is you want to avoid the very uniform neighborhoods. In fact, we saw a deal recently in St. Catharines that we looked at the zoning bylaws, it could be severed, but we thought the risk was higher, so we didn't put an offer on there because the whole neighborhood was uniform, and that was in North End St. Catharines. So we decided to pass on that. So that's one of the tests that the Committee of Justice will take when they decide whether to grant the severance or not, is whether it fits the existing character of the neighborhood. So that's one of the big aspects that we look for.
So you mentioned St. Catharines. Are there certain cities you guys prefer?
We are working
You're
mainly.
talking about Wasaga.
Yeah. Well, we've stretched. We've widened our area recently.
You went north.
Yeah. Went towards water, right? With the lockdowns, obviously the cottage country and places like Grand Bend or Wasaga Beach or Kawartha, stuff like that. That's some hot property right now.
You guys cover all those areas?
No, I'm just like.
So Wasaga's a little far. Like, I don't know if we would necessarily do that again unless it was a great deal, especially for small scale infill. We like to try to stay within like hour and a half, let's say.
So this is where I don't mind, because I'm in, actually even Andy, he's in North York, Scarborough, I'm in North York. So for me, Wasaga is an hour 15, hour and a half. That's it? It's not bad. And St. Catharines is that hour 15, hour and a half. So it's kind of a sweet spot for me.
Kawartha Lakes is also a good opportunity as well.
So
they're very progressive there, so you could potentially do some.
So we have decided to kind of stretch out our boundaries a little bit, and in the scenario in Wasaga is we might not build. We could potentially flip the existing home or the existing cottage, or hold on to it for ourselves, sever a new lot, and sell it to a builder. You don't have to swing a hammer.
Yeah.
So
you guys can contain yourselves to not do something, not dig.
That'll be hard.
I
I really want to build up there.
It's so far.
It's all sand, and for the most part, it's like a dream to build on sand. It's just a great soil.
Okay, so elaborate on the strategy. Okay, so you buy a house with extra green space.
Yep.
Now what do? You tear down the house and then you.
We prefer a strategy that we coined as the keep and sever strategy, where we keep the house, sever it, and build on the new lot or new lots if it's multiple. Some people like to tear down. We look at that as an option, but in the markets that we've been working at, mainly like Hamilton, St. Catharines, it hasn't made sense to tear down where the majority of the value is. It also helps you obtain financing. If you're gonna tear down, you can't qualify for financing legally.
They
Or
say
you could, but it wouldn't be your traditional financing.
Yeah.
Right? You could get private. You can get private
lending if you're tearing.
You won't be able to get B-Lend. If you're tearing down and you let them know, there's no way they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Now if you
You're
don't,
just supposed to let them know.
yeah, exactly. Now with land, you're typically looking at 50% loan to value, and the value is going to be way less too. So that's why we like to buy houses, even if they're terrible houses. In fact, we prefer the terrible houses.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay. For two things.
We sold you a pretty terrible one.
Yeah, exactly. We've bought our fair share of terrible houses, but we see the problems as opportunities though. So one, as a potential uplift if you renovate the house. Secondly, from a development perspective, if you are telling the city, hey, look, I'm looking to beautify this corner, I want to sever, I want to do this, they're a lot more likely to approve that versus if it's already a really nice house. Right. And I wish maybe on the podcast we could show a picture of Weston and Edith Corner.
We discussed it today.
Where Tammy DiTomaso, she sold the initial lot to us. Then she sold the existing house because we didn't
Once we severed.
Yeah, once we severed. Then she helped us sell the 2 new semis as well, Edith. But that corner has been completely transformed.
It was this rundown little bungalow.
Completely rundown.
Kind of just like in and out tenants, like awful looking. And now it's The new buyer renovated the bungalow, brand new siding, exterior looks great. We built the semis in behind it, so like you said, completely changed the look.
And part of that's fulfilling too, like seeing, being part of a transformation of the neighborhood is great, and we see that spur other developments. Now I'm not saying we're the first ones to Western Hill neighborhood in St. Catharines there, but every development helps spur other investments.
So I want the listeners to understand, because this is probably the problem with beginners is they think that they have to be buying something nice. Now I remember, I think it was the Weston property. It failed the marble test.
Oh, I have a video of that.
That was bad.
Rob Chain,
Is it on your Instagram?
I think it probably is.
Wait, weren't we in the crawl space? We have a video of
I have that too, the crawl space.
leaning.
Rob Chain, our home inspector, was there, and he brought a marble. He put it down on the floor, and it rolled really fast to the other side.
It shouldn't roll that fast.
No, it was terrible.
Yeah. But,
Steve probably built it.
yeah. Yeah. Frankenstein house. It was like a house with an addition. So, but the guy
still
that
bought it.
Yeah, the guy that renovated did a fantastic job. So it looks good. So he got crazy rents too.
Oh yeah,
I guess,
$2,000.
Yeah.
We do good by our clients.
Yeah.
You guys should expect that by now. We don't sell this crap. Just you guys.
Yeah, no doubt. But,
Did you even spend long in the house? Because you knew it was crap.
We knew it was crap.
yeah.
And Erwin, like a lot of these deals, actually our last one we bought, we never even went there. It was sight unseen.
Right.
Like actually last two now.
Yeah. Actually, good call.
Yeah, we need to be more careful.
You have pictures?
Well, because we're buying mainly for the land. Like we saw
you're
some.
keeping the house.
Yeah, we saw some pictures, but
What if it's a complete teardown?
I think we figured just that anything with the house, we've kind of seen everything now, for the most part, is that we know we can fix it. Like foundation crack, whether it's structural, whether it's cosmetic.
When we bought some terrible houses. Terrible.
Yeah, we sold them to you.
Yeah. So I think it's less risky for us, for one, because of our backgrounds.
Well, we have the team.
Because of the team and because of our experience, it's a lot less risky than random Joe buying a property.
I still want someone to look at it. I trust.
Yeah.
So even at the foundation, you can fix. I want to know if it's busted.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, usually it's not as scary as you think. There's a lot of things that look scary. They're not as scary.
Yeah.
Right? Like
How would
once
you
you've
know?
seen,
He's seen you
Jeez. How many home inspections you done, Andy?
home inspections, not that many, maybe 12, 1,300
That's it.
home inspections.
That's
but
it?
I've seen probably more than that in other situations.
White
So
belt.
it's not white belt. So it's the thing about getting the ugly properties is that it allows you to add that value for when you do that severance, right? Because when you do that severance, you're taking value away from the property. So how do you make it back up? And if you buy that property that's already really highly valued, there's not much to do with it. You can't add that value. So you can, in a lot of cases, you can add enough value so that when you have to refinance that mortgage because you're severing the land, you don't have to kind of make up the difference. So that's what happened with us, is that we've been able to do that.
So I want to continue the story with your typical property. So you buy a piece of crap, you beautify it.
But strategically.
Well, we like to beautify it after the severance, not pre-severance.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. There's two things to consider. If you want to beautify it or duplex it or whatever you want to do to increase your cash flow, that will help you make it turn into a positive cash flowing asset earlier on. For us, the severance is more important though. So instead of cash flowing and beautifying and all that stuff, we do that after the severance, because the severance is the big factor that drives the pro forma, whether you make money or not on the deal. So to encourage the city to approve our deal, we don't want to improve it until after the severance is complete.
So you gotta use it as leverage.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And even for the neighbors surrounding that house, they're going to want to see it improved, because it's obviously going to help their neighborhood. It's going to increase the value of their homes. So it'll kind of lead towards them supporting you on that severance application, because they want it to succeed, because they want you to clean it up.
And on that note, by the way, for the listeners, talking to your neighbors is huge. I can't stress how important it is to have open communications and talk to your neighbors. You're going to always have that one or two on the street that are completely against you.
Or the people that put up signs everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? They also respect you when you're transparent with them. I find even the people that are completely against you, if they've been heard and they get to know you, you reach out to them, they respect you a lot more, even if they still oppose you. And we've had neighbors that have actually helped us on site.
I am so grateful for our neighbors directly beside our Edith build.
Yeah.
Pat and Lynn, they have been crucial in this build. Because I'm in Toronto, I can't get down there every day to open the doors or inspect work, and they're out and about. They'll unlock for us, they'll lock up, they'll check the workmanship, they'll send photos. It's been so helpful that they've been a huge part of the success of this build.
Are you paying them?
Yeah, of course.
Like when they, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But even before we or buy or shortly after we buy, we'll go and meet all the neighbors around. We'll tell them our plan as well. Sometimes they write letters of support for our severance application, which goes a long way.
What was the one? It just said, "We support."
Yeah.
It was like the nice older couple, and they were able to send an email in. It just literally one sentence.
Yep.
We support this.
So Erwin, there's a lot of people like doing development or severances that don't want to put in the work. We do everything we can to increase our chances of approval, including talking to the neighbors, and if they can write a letter of support, excellent. Because how often do you see letter of support for severance applications if you've done nothing? Very few.
And we've asked them to provide those.
We have, exactly,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
It's an aggressive move to go ask somebody to write a letter to the city.
Yeah.
But
we try to build that rapport.
Yeah, we
have
build a
relationship
rapport,
with them.
and we are actually trying to do something good to the neighborhood. So it's rare that they're.
Yeah, and I think they can tell we're not like selling something. It comes true because we are truly trying to improve the neighborhood.
Be a good neighbor.
Yeah,
Be a good
that's it.
neighbor. That's it. It's very, very simple. That's it.
So there's a lady across the street on the current build, and so Steve reached out to her, and she allowed us to install a security camera, and in her house, which actually filmed our entire build, and we have a time lapse and
That's
everything.
where you see the cool time lapse.
And the benefit is that she also gets free security for her in front of her house, right? So it's kind of a win-win.
That's how you sold it to her?
Well, we did sell it to her that way.
And a
We
case,
also
a
got
case
her-
of Budweiser too.
Yes, it was a 28 bottle
Wow,
case,
you went all out.
all out.
So not like it can't be like Mill Street or it can't,
Well, you-
hope.
Depends.
Yeah,
Depends on your.
It's-
Yeah,
it's
depends on the
customer.
neighborhood.
yeah, exactly.
It depends on the city.
Yeah, I remember you guys had the neighbors in for a pizza and beer party.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was fun actually.
Yep.
We should do that again if COVID allows. But
Yep.
Like people were so excited.
well, everyone wants. They've been watching this thing be built for the last say 6-7 months.
Yeah.
They want to get in and check it out.
Oh, I thought they were more interested in the pizza and the beer.
Both. But no, they're excited to see it, and everyone that gets in, they tend to love it.
Uh-huh.
And I've had quite a few people ask me if they could rent out the units we've just finished.
Yeah.
So it appears that we're building desirable product.
Well, you guys got some top of market rents.
Really good rents. That's the thing. These purpose-built, brand new builds, they command a premium rent.
Yeah.
Great cash flowing assets to hold. Again, we still hold the Violet Project semis, which we're refinancing. And in fact,
Let's take a step back.
yeah.
So we just let the listener know, like, what did you build? Let's start with what did you build
so
with that empty land?
on that particular project,
Sure.
we built 2 semis with purpose-built basement suites in them. So 4 units, and that was from severing off the existing house. We kept those 2 existing houses, and then after we refinanced, like after we got the construction financing, that was done. We pulled out almost all of our investment. So it's like a complex burr,
Just a massive burr.
massive burr.
Yeah.
And I know when we do this recent refinance, all the money is going to be out, plus more actually. It's literally like an ATM.
Well, we already got all our money out on the first refi after
Correct.
the build.
Correct.
Right? And so basically it's already a kind of no capital contribution, once we refinanced. You can't really do that on a single family home with a duplex. That could take 5 years potentially. But on a build, because you're so aggressive with adding the value into the property right up front, you can potentially do that in the span of the infill development, which is maybe 1 to 2 years.
Yep.
Right? But it's a lot more work, of course.
And capital.
But it's more work, more capital. But it could be that unicorn where you're able to extract everything out and move all that capital into a second project.
But again, there's a lot of options though. Like, it doesn't necessarily need to take a ton of capital. Like Steve said earlier, if you want to go through the severance and sell the lots, which we see lots of people do, you can make money that way. It's like a land flip. Or you can hire Steve or hire a builder to build, so you could be hands off if you don't know how to
We'll get
build.
to that. Or you can hire Scott McGilvery. So are these neighborhoods, like, what would you classify them? Are they A, B, C?
You know what?
D?
Most of these are like transitioning neighborhoods, I'd say.
So BC.
They're a little rougher, like BC, exactly.
So it's not D, where it's like up against like a smokestack or something.
No.
Right.
Don't, yeah.
It's not like druggies and stuff.
We don't want to be the first ones into the neighborhood. We want to be in neighborhoods that are already transitioning, and we just help kind of accelerate it.
Yeah, you want to see 2, 3 other new builds in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the one the one that I'm working with Deshaun on in Brantford, it's in Terrace Hill in Brantford, which is kind of like a solid C plus B minus neighborhood. It's not directly across from a cemetery, but it's like probably a 10-minute walk. 10-minute walk from the cemetery. Good value, large piece of land, and around the corner, new builds. So there was a new builds of, I think, 3 like very modern types of homes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see somebody spending, it's probably a couple $1 million, you know that they've done some research. Not 100% guaranteed, but it helps, right? And so you sort of see that transition. And these are the areas where you can add that value, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the property itself was, we can definitely add value with just duplexing it as a very worst case.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're able to sever it and get something else, it's almost kind of like a bonus. That's kind of where we like to see the asymmetric opportunities, is that if you lose, you're not going to lose a whole bunch. You might even, worst case, break even. But if you gain and you're able to get that severance, you get that land value in the 6 figures potentially, right?
And then what kind of rents are you guys getting? I already know the answer, so.
At Violet, which we built 3 years ago, we're getting $2,000 a month plus utilities on both main units.
Right.
And then $1,400 a month on both basements. Now that's actually below market rents now. We've had great tenants.
But at the time, they were above market.
At the time, they were definitely above market. In St. Catharines, it was unheard of.
For like a C neighborhood.
Yeah, so it's $3,400 plus utilities per month.
3 years ago. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you what would it be today?
Well, I've been
November
hearing hearing other people in St. Catharines getting $2,300 a month.
Right.
For these purpose-built main units.
Like even just the upper, yeah.
Just the upper.
Yeah.
Just the upper. Yeah. And those ones aren't even as large as some of the ones that we built, like at Violet, which was 1,750 square feet too.
Right.
Really nice rentals.
They don't want to leave.
Yeah.
Well,
the
rent
definitely
control.
don't
Why
want
would
to
they
leave.
leave?
Yeah, exactly. But the rents in St. Catharines, everywhere, including Hamilton, has gone up tremendously.
Right. And so these properties cash flow then?
They cash flow a lot. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Even after you took all your money out?
Yeah. Yeah.
And even for the second time now, if you take your money out,
They still will.
Amazing.
So at the beginning, I think we were cash flowing like $1,000 a month per unit, like per side, per semi. Then after we refied, it went down to I think 800 or something like that. Now when we refi again, depends on what we get, but we'll still be positive for sure.
Right. And just for the listeners' benefit, at this particular build, they were semi-detached houses, so you guys. It looks like one building, but it's
like a left and a
mirror
right.
image.
Yep.
Yeah, mirror image left and right,
Yeah.
and each semi has a basement apartment as
That's
well.
right.
And then how big was the basement apartment?
They were roughly 650 square feet.
Right.
In
so
St. Catharines, you can't go larger, unfortunately. Which
we won't talk about.
Yeah.
If on our website, infilldevelopments.com, you can click on projects, and you can see some of these projects that we're discussing now.
Yeah.
Just so you know what we're talking about.
We got to update it. I think there's like another
There's
4 or
a few
5
more.
projects that we need to add on there.
We're too busy building.
Yeah. We'll get to the next phase next time. We'll Adam will be like Jamie. We'll like have pictures
Just
and video.
pop it
and
up
stuff.
right away.
Pop it up.
Exactly.
Pop it up.
Pull it up, Adam.
Yeah, pull it up. Adam. We have to watch ourselves right now.
Another thing I want to add, what Andy was saying about why we buy in transition neighborhoods, which already have new builds in the area, is for comps, comparable sales for appraisals. That's even the ones we've done, there hasn't been enough. So we find that's been a bit of a challenge. However, our recent appraisal came in higher than we expected, but it was still lower than what we've got on the market. So that's one thing to kind of look at. Also, it helps you on your pro forma meaning your numbers at the beginning to project your financial return. If you have other sales, you're more sure or more certain with your numbers up front before you even get into the deal.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of know what you could sell the new builds for.
Awesome. So I think we talked about like what the deal looks like. Now, financing. When you buy the property, what are you doing? Like take them like any, I don't know, generally,
the benefit of buying a property that has an existing house on it, you can qualify for traditional financing.
Right.
So we're putting the 20%
go to
down.
regular bank.
Exactly.
Right.
You're getting a lender. You're putting 20% down, and then that gets us through at least the lot purchase. And then you're going to need a little bit more capital on top of that for the whole severance application and process there.
So that's out of your own pocket?
That's cash.
Yeah, so that's typically $40,000 to $60,000
Right.
Yeah.
for soft costs out of our pocket to pay for consultants, your planner, engineer, city fees, application fees, and all
Designers.
that. Designers, surveyor. So that will get you up to development approval, the 40 to 60.
Does that include committee of adjustments?
Yeah.
It does. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
But it's probably not that much if it's probably only 40 to 60 if you get to the point where you're able to, build, right? There's the initial phase where if, let's say, you get rejected, you probably wouldn't have spent up to the 40 to 60.
Right.
So we kind of make that clear.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. You're not gonna spend that 40, 60 right away.
Yeah.
That's all the way to the end of.
Yeah.
Right.
So it might be who knows, depending on the site, depending on the amount of work. You're going to hire a planner to help you. You're going to go through committee of adjustments. You're going to go get some surveys done. Maybe some engineering work. Could be in the 15 to 20,000 range. That might be a risk, right? What do we got there?
Oh yeah, there's the projects on the TV.
oh, there you go.
Oh, it's gone down there.
So the idea is that, like, yes, there's an investment up front, right? So there's 15, 20,000 that there's no guarantees. But once you've done enough, you kind of have a feel. It's never going to be a slam dunk, right? Because if it was a slam dunk, everybody would be doing it. But you look for that asymmetric opportunity where, worst case scenario, you lose 15 to 20,000.
That's Andy's favorite word, by the way.
Asymmetric. I love it. Ever since I heard that from Ray Dalio, I love it. Because if you do get it, you potentially could gain 100,000, right? So what are the odds, right? You do enough.
I
of
do
those,
like those odds. Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
and you don't, like Steve says, you don't have to build. You can get the approval and sell it off.
A couple young guys we know that
try to sell their lots now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went through this process actually on their own.
Yep.
They didn't even hire a planner, and they were successful.
Now we don't recommend
Yeah,
that.
it's actually a relatively small cost for what you get.
It is well worth it. Please,
So-
please, listeners, hire a professional
Yeah.
planner to represent you when you're going through these
But
infill
some of the
developments.
smaller towns, they'll actually really the public planners that work with the city will actually help you. So where someone, maybe you have an existing portfolio and you think you have that double lot or that big corner lot, you can go in and you talk to the city, and some of the public planners will actually kind of say, hey, your lot is big enough, you could potentially sever this much off. And that's where you'd probably go talk to a planner. But some of the smaller towns actually helped these guys through the process, and they were successful.
Yep.
And then sold the lot to another builder.
Nice.
Yeah.
Unlocking value.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, back to financing. We do the traditional mortgage with an A lender for the initial purchase. Then we go through development. If you get approved for the severance, you have to do something called a partial discharge. Basically, you have to discharge they value the severed lot, and they'll have to take that off your mortgage because that's not going to be securitized anymore.
Oh, right.
Now, back to Andy's point, this is huge. This can literally save you hundreds of thousands from a cash flow perspective. Is that if you have a terrible property and then you fix it up, then have the severance, well, you've already increased the value so much. For all our projects, knock on wood so far, the partial discharge has been $0. On our last project, we had budgeted $100,000 to pay the lender to discharge part of that mortgage.
We cut off 3/4 of the lot
Yeah.
How come they didn't charge you?
because we were able to actually, I mean, I'm sure appreciation helped a bit with
Appreciation helped
that.
a lot. We looked at Geo Warehouse. We pulled up some comps. We said, "Hey, Mr. Appraiser, this and that," and we will
Help influence.
There was some
that.
luck there too.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
But we had to tear down the rear addition, and we snuck the appraiser in, like literally a day before
Yeah.
the appraisal. So he got the appraisal before we tore down that rear addition. So we got the value of that square footage, because square footage is obviously key when it comes to appraisal.
Yeah. And then for the build, we go through construction financing. Now there's different ways to do it. You go private. You can go through.
So private would be like you're going to an individual?
It could be.
Right.
Or through a broker.
Or you can go through if
Yep.
there's a wealthy individual. But yeah, typically people go through a broker. A broker will charge their fee, set you up with a wealthy individual or a corp. They'll give you the mortgage. The nice thing about that.
Can we give your mortgage person a shout out? Do you want to? Or you keep that private?
Kevin's the man.
Oh, Kevin.
Kevin Wynn.
Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
He's out of Hamilton.
Yeah, my friends call him the Tooth Fairy. Cause
I call him Mission
he
Impossible.
turns bad assets like good or something like that, I think they say. But no, he's so yeah. Private financing is one way. Now that's going to be a higher rate, but less BS,
Yeah.
less paperwork,
yeah.
all that stuff. We have a really good relationship with credit unions. Our last project was with Meridian Credit Union. They've been great to work with us, and they'll lend 75% of your project. So we'll typically, what we like to do to contribute towards that 25% equity, they'll value some of the land to put towards that. But if your land isn't up to the 25% threshold that they need, well, we'll start the build, we'll do the dig, maybe we'll pour the foundation before we get the first draw from them. More paperwork, but
Yeah.
a lot lower.
More
interest
legal
rate.
fees, like.
Yeah, exactly.
But we've done what, 3 draws this last build?
Four.
Draws. Okay.
Four draws.
4 draws.
We
What should the
typically-
beginner do? Should they go...
Uh,
Will they even
I-
get private?
I
for
would
beginner?
recommend that they try to go through like a credit union if they can. It's well worth it. Like if even
The-
with
the
the
rates.
extra paperwork, if you look at the rates, it's a huge difference.
Right. Yeah, what's the ballpark difference in rates?
You're probably looking between 4 to 6%
From
typically.
a credit union?
Now, obviously, it depends on your experience,
Yeah.
your net worth, like
Yeah.
your covenant to that lender. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say 4 to 6 typically.
And then what's private? What should folks budget for private?
Ooh, it's all over the place.
Yeah, it's Wild Wild West.
But I would say you're looking at double digits. You're probably looking at 10, 12.
Especially
yeah,
with like
12%.
the upfront lender 1-2% lender fee
That's
and
right,
all that.
yeah.
That's where they get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they get you.
Yeah.
For a lot of your
Kevin.
listeners that are all your listeners that are beginners, I think it's still a good idea to, even if they don't have the experience, is to try to go through construction financing. Even if they have to maybe come up with more cash, maybe they're not going to get 75% loan to value. Maybe they'll get 50%, and they're able to save or get it from a family member or something. Because once they've gone through that that construction phase, right, they built that reputation with the lender. The next project, they were like, look, I was actually able to build a house, and it got appraised for such and such, right? So going through that process with them, even if you're a beginner, it's good, but you may not get the high loan to value because they might look at you, like Charles said, your covenant and your experience.
And the relationship's key though. Like with your lenders, you got to build those relationships. Every build that we've done subsequent, they've been giving us a better rate and helped us out. They've did certain exceptions on requirements. So for example, like it's very typical that on a draw, you need to get like an engineer or an architect, or maybe even as far as a quantity surveyor to certify that draw, and that costs money. We've had it way before. We've also had it where they were okay with just an engineer or architect verify our draw versus having to go to a quantity surveyor. But for your listeners, if they're going through that, it's quite common that on your very first project, if you go through construction financing, they're going to make you go through that quantity surveyor.
How do people know all these steps?
Just do it. Like I didn't know any of this stuff when I
One
first went
foot
through
forward
it.
at a time.
But I would say try to network, hang out with people that have done this. That's what I always try to do. Then that's how we met these guys and stuff. Hang around people that have done it, and try
Even
to
if
learn
it's
from them.
virtual,
Yeah.
right now.
Or the other thing, shameless plug would be take a course like what we're doing. If there was a course 7 years ago when I first started, I would have saved so much money if I had known. Because on infill developments, there's not really any, not that I'm aware
There's
of,
no
any
how-to.
books or how-tos or anything like that. So you're right. That's probably the hardest part. But when you demystify it, and a lot of our students came through our course, a lot of people think development super difficult, tons of capital required.
Yeah.
When you
So many
demystify
unknowns.
it, it's not actually that difficult.
Yeah.
We've had people go through the process themselves afterwards. No
Like, even the cost, like there's 3 of us, so that's helped dramatically.
Yeah.
So we could have, each one of us could have bought a single family home and done our own thing.
Yep.
Or the 3 of us put our pool together, and we were able to go through this development process a few times now. So
And
it's,
that's better? It's a better investment?
the returns so far have been better. So, and it's obviously something we enjoy doing. Different strategy than just buy and hold. So even though you're holding at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Now, what about when City Committee of Adjustments doesn't work out?
Okay, so
It
funny that
sucks.
you ask. On our latest project.
Because this is the truth about real estate investing. We're going to ask the hard questions. It ain't all sunshine and roses, is it?
Yeah,
That's
no,
right.
that one hurts.
So,
Actually,
like Andy
funny
said-
story. When I remember we had the committee meeting. It would have been probably like 5 o'clock or 4:30 p.m. something like that.
yeah.
I remember leaving work at 5 p.m. from Brampton, whipping it down as kind of fast as I could
I started the
to.
Stairwell.
Sorry.
It already finished.
Yeah,
saw you
so
at the
I
stairwell.
showed
It
up
was
at
late.
St. Catharines City Hall. I walked through the front doors, and Charles and the planners are
I just shook my
walking up, and he just shook his head at me. So I just
You were
like
hoping he was joking, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to expect, and I could just tell from his face that it just wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I just like rushed that day down there, all
Yeah.
excited,
that was
project's
a
gonna
bad
get
feeling.
approved,
That was a really bad feeling.
and oh crap.
But like Andy says,
Because certain cities are not easy, right?
exactly.
I would depending, but even St. Catharines, it hasn't been that difficult for the plan or like the severance process.
Yeah, the planning, like they're good to work with.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so different, because I've heard lots of bad things about certain cities.
You're talking about
and
the
certain
building side.
people.
Different
I
departments.
guess it's a different
Can I
department.
start some rumors?
Yeah.
I guess it's a different department.
To be fair, like I would say, now
So-
the more we know and the more we've done, the more easier it's been to work with them because we know their expectations, which aren't that wild. It's just if you're used to building in other areas that are not that stringent, you just have to learn what they want. That's it.
Was there something, like Weston, for example, was there something you could have done to avoid it?
No. So to clarify to your listeners, we did get rejected on our severance application for that Weston project. Now your option there afterwards is you can appeal the decision. And we had put all our ducks in line, did everything we can to improve the chances. And that one was very bizarre where they rejected it with no reason. So we had a meeting afterwards and we're like, what do we want to do from here? We were like very confident that if we appeal this, that it would get overturned. So your option, you have to do it within 20 days of the decision, is to appeal to LPAT, which is the formerly OMB. LPAT is Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, to appeal the Committee of Adjustments decision. We did that. It delays you. It delayed us like a year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's extra costs. You can represent yourself. Highly don't recommend that. So we hired a planner and a lawyer to represent us. They did a fantastic job. We were there, and the decision got overturned. So on that project, we actually had to appeal, which delayed us and cost us a bit extra money, but we were able
So
to
it was
get it
about
afterwards.
probably about a year delay,
Yeah.
and all in all, probably an extra
It
20,000.
was actually like 25,000.
Yeah.
So going into it, what did you think your chances were?
Into the LPAT,
Yeah.
like we thought it was like 80%.
Yeah,
80.
right.
Like we were very
Yeah.
confident.
So maybe just to
That's
kind
not
of
per. That's not.
Yeah, no,
80
I-
is far from 100.
Well, like Andy said, like development's not guaranteed by
Definitely
any
not for
means.
the
That's
lighthearted
the other
either.
thing, for sure.
Right, yeah, because you're spending a lot of money up front, right? But you kind of go into these knowing what your chances are. Like, I think we felt higher that it was going to be higher than 80% because there was no reason that they gave, right? So for a lot of your listeners, the Committee of Adjustments is just lay people, right? Like people who look at it and say, is this going to be something that's going to work? And they get advice from the city. The city will give them information. If there's any technical issue that you can't comply with, usually, you're going to fail at Committee of Adjustments. But if you've gotten past any technical issues and it's just because people are not comfortable with what you're doing, a lot of times once you get to LPAT, which again is the former OMB, they're not technical people. They're lawyers. So you get a lawyer speaking to a lawyer and you're saying, hey, you know what, we need more housing. This looks like it's something that is going to work. The city already supported it. So there's no reason why the committee should have rejected it. And once you've gone past those technical hurdles, usually you're going to be successful at LPAT. Right? So technical, when I say technical, I mean things like, I don't know, we can get really technical here, but if the city wants to widen the road and you can't do it, or if there's a safety issue, because you're turning into the corner and they can't see, or something like that, where you're not, the engineering that you hired has said that this is not going to work, and you're trying to push that, then you're probably not going to get any problems, right?
Fascinating.
Yeah, I've learned all this recently speaking to Matt.
Now we were pushing the envelope on that project, and that's why I feel it was at 80%. They were talking about the density, and it comes down to your personality style. Like if we were to go for a single there instead of a semi, it'd be like slam dunk. We'd be like feels 95%. Again, it's never 100.
So if you're going to build a single detached house,
We applied for
It would've
the
been fine.
semi, And knowing that it was pushing limits,
Yeah.
we could have taken the easy route and just went for a single family home. We probably wouldn't have been denied at the committee.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have got to that point.
But that's our plan B. That's our contingency.
Right.
So if we had got rejected, let's say all the way to LPAT, we could have reapplied then, going for the single, and we were very confident, very very confident that would have been approved.
And then, sorry, with these semis, were they also basement suited?
Yep. Same.
So
same.
you built a fourplex.
Exactly. Like that one lot that Tim.
That small little bungalow.
And actually, we bought. I remember
failed the marble test.
Yeah, and I failed the marble test. Okay, that 70 by 105 lot, corner lot, turned into could have been 6 units.
Could have been 6.
Could have been 6 because we actually got the approval to convert the existing single that we sold off to convert that to a duplex. Mm-hmm. The purchasers decided to keep it as a single.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, but there we still turned one lot into 5 units.
Right. Oh, I thought that was a big selling feature for our client that bought the house, that it could be duplex.
I think it came down to budget. Like dealing with the fire separations would have been pretty intense. So it was kind of just like, can you do a $60,000, $80,000 versus $150,000?
Yeah.
So I think that helped make that decision.
Got it. Cool. And so you guys, wait, who's the GC? So do you get, so this pretty typical question for a beginner. Do you hire a general contractor? You're the general contractor.
So for the construction portion, that would be myself.
Right.
So
you guys have that built in.
Yeah. So Andy and Charles, they kind of tend to take care of some of the more upfront stuff. And then when it's construction time, that's my time to shine.
I literally sent you that message. I remember when we got the approval, when we overturned that LPAT. I passed it out. Steve, it's your time to shine.
Yeah. Now, again, there is 3 of us on this team. So it's been very helpful to have that extra person. Hey, can you go down? We have a lot of work happening today, where Andy's actually led all the inspections pretty well. So he's actually pretty crucial on that because he knows the theory of the code. He knows the design. He knows the inspectors. So he's been very helpful on that sense, because I can't be there just because I'll be, say, busy on another project or busy at work. So we just kind of take turns. But I would say I lead the construction, the construction management, the trades.
So he does all the hard work, and I just go and schmooze the inspectors.
Hey, it wouldn't get to the next step without you. So, but actually, there's so much work involved in the sense of quoting, awarding.
There's a lot of back-end stuff.
There's a lot of back-end.
Lots of back-end stuff.
Yeah.
So like, what's step 1 for a newbie general contractor? Like, where do you find staff?
Well, if they're a newbie, I would say they don't even attempt it.
Yeah.
Looking back, we would have been done without Steve's expertise.
My experience in construction is all the way back to high school to like framing houses, concrete work and basements, pools, stuff like that. So I go all the way back there, probably 20 years ago now, which is crazy. But and I've been a site supervisor or project manager for a low-rise home builder for the last 14 years. So that is why we do this as a team, and I lead the construction. If you have no experience in construction, even if you've done your own secondary suite in the basement, it's a lot different building a house. So you'd be hiring a general contractor, or you'd be hiring a home builder. So it's not something you can just jump right into. You definitely
Steve.
Yeah, for the right price. But no, it's not something a newbie can just jump right into. But you'll just be forced to be in a position where you hire a builder. Or a good friend of ours, Kosh, he took the middle route. He did modular. So he actually GC'd the project.
I don't like that you brought that out.
Oh, sorry.
Let's say that for part
It's a whole
2.
other.
Say that for
It's a
part
whole other thing.
But no, he successfully completed. He general contracted, but he had someone else build the house and plop it on the foundation.
We'll have him on soon. And I heard it took a while.
Yeah.
I think he actually used that project to leave his job. Because I remember he always kept telling you and I that he wanted to leave his job. And then there he justified it that, to pay a GC, that's like his salary for the year.
Yeah.
So that could be
How much does GC cost?
We're not cheap.
1 year salary.
And by the way, Kosh and a couple other people in our network, I would say 2 or 3 people, these were in their existing portfolio. So they weren't out there looking for infill opportunities. They were just looking at their own lots.
Yeah.
And they're saying, hey guys, do you see any potential here? we gave him a planner and we say, there's a possibility here, right? So there's been him and a few others where it's been in their portfolio. So I encourage you, your listeners, check your portfolios, whether it's a corner lot or a larger interior lot. There's potential there.
Or check your friends and family lots too.
Yes. Yeah, and don't tell
your
them
neighbor's lot.
and don't tell. Ask them, but don't tell them what your intentions are.
But you know what's interesting, Erwin, is that when you're seeing raw land, I remember Steve, Andy too. Actually, a lot of the people have come when you first see it. Like, there's no way.
Pre-built.
Before raw land. I remember seeing two Weston.
This looks small.
Yeah.
The funniest one was Wilson in Hamilton. We built. It was 56 by 40, 56 wide by 40
Which
feet
one was this?
deep. It was T.O.'s. It's
Wilson.
411 Wilson.
Yeah.
When
It was 40 deep.
Yeah, 40 deep.
40 feet.
But again, that's only because you're.
That's it. That's it there.
Yeah, there. You can see it on the TV there.
Yeah.
But it's only because you're in the lower city that you can do that.
Yeah,
You would
it's
never
very
be able to do that
dense.
on the mountain. But I remember there's the picture of the vacant lot.
Yeah.
Steve was there. He goes, "There's
Building
no
two
way we
houses
could
on
build
that
two
lot."
houses on this postage
Yeah.
stamp." But again, once you
So
know what to
skinny.
look for,
Yeah. I mean, that's why we had to go 3 stories.
Yeah.
But amazing.
Highest and best use.
That's it.
Oh, Steve, I want to go back to the GC thing.
Yeah.
Because your work is out in Brampton area.
Yeah, I work for a production builder in the GTA, building Brampton, Vaughan, Whitby, Aurora, everything like that.
So when you're doing builds in St. Catharines, where'd you get people from? Same people?
Actually, no. I don't mix any of those trades. Actually, they're like GTA trades are a lot more money than, say, Hamilton, Niagara trades.
Got it.
Mainly because of unions. You're paying union rates in the GTA.
We love unions on the show, by the way. Keep going,
Good.
sorry.
But it's just the cost of a framer outside the GTA is maybe $10-11 a square foot. And in the within Toronto area, you're talking $14-15 a square foot.
Oh, okay.
So we try to actually avoid Toronto trades and pull
support
in
local. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, and it's actually like they know the building department. So if you bring in a Toronto framer down to St. Catharines, they're going to build Toronto quality, which isn't necessarily St. Catharines quality.
Right.
So that's actually helped us quite a bit to use local trades.
Right.
Not only just because it's easier, cheaper, and they know what that building department wants.
Where do you find these people? Kijiji? Facebook?
Contacts, networking. I don't think we've pulled anyone off of Kijiji.
Yeah, a lot of our trades came through my initial builder partner. Now, for the interest of time, I won't go through the whole story, but I started with large developments, which I don't recommend to listeners. Start with a small scale.
Right. You made a bunch of money, though.
Yeah.
You're trying to hog all the money.
That builder partner is a production builder, and they because of a relationship gave me like a list of all their trades. So that's how we started. Since then, you build and pick and
It's
add
even
to it.
networking with other builders has been very helpful.
We've added to the list. So now we have a whole Rolodex of trade lists.
Yeah. Lots of builders are quite sharing. Large part of our real estate community is very sharing.
Yeah, everybody's of abundance for the most part.
Except for my handyman. No one's allowed to talk to my handyman.
What's his name? Does it start with a
No, we're not talking about that. Adam, edit that out.
Charles keeps his hidden pretty well. I struggle to use Charles handyman. And he's actually one of the best I've ever worked with. He can do it all for real.
Everyone knows him.
And for our own projects, I'm like, Charles, please, we need this guy.
He's the best guy.
Because I know it's gonna get done. He knows exactly what I want to be done in my head without even really describing it that much. But we actually have to be protective of his time. Because if you wear out one guy too much, you got nobody.
He's like a GC though.
Yeah,
he's not
he
your
is.
typical handyman.
Yeah.
His skills are.
I have to
super,
strategically
superior.
use some of Charles' team for our projects, so he doesn't lose out on his work, but also so we can move forward in ours.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
Actually, speaking of that, on these builds, if anyone's trying to build, they're going to build themselves. The handyman is actually one of the most underappreciated
Handyman and labor
roles
Yeah.
in a build, and those are the guys that go in between the trades to prep certain things and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Steve's talking about boring. I don't even call him a handyman.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he's
you
more
know,
of a
he's like a
kind of
generalist.
GC.
yeah.
Yeah.
But to bring him in is like gold. It saves us tons of time. Saves us
It's
money.
all the tedious stuff.
Yeah.
Fire caulking, especially when you're doing purpose-built secondary suites, there's so much prep, I call it. Prepping drywall, caulking gaps. It's such a tedious, and you have to actually know what you're doing. It's very difficult because with new builds, you're using more trades. You're not really using too many of your guys. It's really hard to train your trades to do some of that stuff. So that's where that handyman is crucial, and the labor. We always tend to build in the winter, so it's who's shoveling the walkway, who's shoveling the steps, who's opening the doors, who's cleaning inside after this trade.
The neighbors.
Exactly, and that's where it comes down to the meeting the neighbors.
Yeah.
There's usually always that, especially with COVID. There's been people off work, and so they're happy to get
So much
paid a
cash.
little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like they've now been a huge part of building a house, which I bet you a year ago they never thought they'd be building a house. So
Yeah, I guess people are looking for something to do.
yeah,
Exactly.
so
Earn some beer income.
that's it.
Now I want. So now what's the newbie's work commitment? As in, like, what's their day-to-day look like? How often do they have to be on site, for example?
Well, why don't you start with a development first, in the sense of like, because I feel like a lot of your listeners, whether it's iWin member, Rockstar members, or any other of your listeners out there, like the development portion is something like a full-time employee, like an accountant or someone that works.
It's a full-time gig.
They have a full-time. No, they have a full-time job. They can
okay.
do this development thing on their own.
Right.
I mean, hiring the planner and the proper people to do it, but it's something that's very doable if you're working full
Development
time.
really ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's going to take a lot of your time, and other times it could be nothing for a week or 2 weeks if you're waiting for a report, let's say, or a survey plan. We're obviously going to be able to do it much faster, the development, because I do this full time. But even your listeners who have 9 to 5 jobs, they could push through the development on the side. Again, it might not be as fast, but it's definitely possible.
We've seen many success stories.
Yeah, if a regular person has a 9 to 5 job, they could do one of these every 2 years, and if they want to push it, they can do one a year if they wanted to. Like, they don't have to quit their job. As a matter of fact, in a lot of cases, it's not the best idea to quit your job, because then you need the financing and all that, right? So for people who want to have that, that kind of burr strategy on steroids, is doing one or two, every couple of years is I think is a good strategy.
Yeah.
Right.
With all this work from home, you have more flexibility now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No more commute times. Flexibility.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta pop in on site, whatever,
Yeah.
right? You can take your
But or
meetings in
clear the
car or
lot.
whatever.
Like, you want to keep the lot in kind of good order, just so you don't piss off
The other thing,
neighbors.
Erwin, is if you want to be more hands off, you can hire your planner to do more stuff. We just got off a call with a planner who asked kind of what level do we want them project managing. Do we want them to be the full quarterback and to arrange all the other people, like the engineer, surveyor, and all that?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have the time, it's worth it, the investment to pay the planner to do that. Because we do this full time, we take on a lot of those tasks. So it adds more on our plate and takes more of our time. But listeners, they don't necessarily have to go down the same route that we do.
So maybe for like Muskoka, you'll have someone do a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That's right.
So it's completely doable for a 9 to 5 working to get through that development stage.
The build, I think, is
Sorry, that's
that's-
Collingwood, right? Is it the,
Wasaga.
Wasaga Beach, sorry.
So the build is a whole different story. I can successfully do it while I work 7 to 5 full time, but it's very trade heavy. So like I said, I'm not actually working on that build while I'm at work. For one, it's a conflict of interest, but so all of my prep and planning I'm doing on weekends and evenings, but it's all trades. So I don't necessarily, when the tile guy's going, I just have to show him what to do, or I'll go there on a Saturday, take photos, and because a markup on the iPhone is the best, is you just show them exactly what you want, how do you want the tiles to go, which tiles you want to go where, and then I send them that information and they go get it done. So because it's very trade involved, I don't have to be there full time doing the renos myself or build myself. Now, if you're a rookie, you don't have very much construction experience, it can also be very hands off, but you're going to have to hire a builder. So you're going to pay a premium for that, But yeah, so say you're a banker, you have no idea how to build or swing a hammer. You're gonna get through that development stage by yourself, and then when it's time to build, if you're building a purpose-built rental for your own portfolio, like you're gonna pay a lot for a builder to do it. But if you're holding that brand new asset for 10, 15, 20 years, and you can refi out of it a couple times and own it for free, or no money involved, like it's completely doable. So it just depends on if you want to build it yourself, if you can, or if you can just hire someone to do it for you.
The other thing is, when you're looking to hire a builder, it looks like a lot of extra cost up front compared to yourself GCing. But think of the potential mistakes that can bring you way higher than hiring a builder.
Yeah.
So for a rookie, I would 100% recommend that.
Because you've seen it.
We've really done it. I've cost us a lot of money.
Oh,
Yeah.
do they know that?
Yeah.
What'd you
I
say?
try to hide it. So
So there's 3 stages of kind of the wealth creation in infill development, right? There's that development where you kind of increase the value of the land, right? So whatever it is, 100,000, 150,000, you can make money on the build by being very efficient, which is what we do. But you also make money on holding that property, right? Profiting from it, market appreciation, forced appreciation, all that sort of stuff. So for a lot of the beginner investors, maybe take away that middle one, that builder one. Let a professional handle it. You've made money on development, which is doable, and then you make money on kind of holding it, right? Or if you want to sell after a little while, I'm sure the market. If you put out a good product, the market's gonna reward you for it, right? So if somebody has the appetite, they can do all 3. But because for a lot of people who are starting, that building probably is the most challenging.
yes, the riskiest, obviously, of the 3.
Yeah.
Now I know from the past the most popular question is cost per square foot.
I was gonna say it before you even said it.
I can tell you it's a lot more this year than it was last year, and it's a lot more now than it was 2 years ago.
I heard something about
Like percentage wise, what's it gone up?
Depending, like across the board, I would say 20 to 30% for not so much labor but materials.
Right.
Lumber,
And the land.
If you can even get it. I
Well-
was just talking to a builder the other day who can't even get lumber.
Yeah.
He talked to Home Hardwares from St. Catharines all the way to London. No one had lumber for him.
Yeah.
He talked to all the big lumber suppliers, and they would only ship to large builders. So it's that much of a shortage right now.
I saw a headline: new build construction is down 14% in the States. They're pouring foundations.
And then don't frame.
They can't frame. there's no lumber.
Well, we're struggling to get lumber back because I think a lot of it's milled in the States, then comes right back to Canada. But between sheet goods have gone up like times 3 or 4. Even your 2x4 lumber. We were building a detached garage, and I paid $10.50 for a 9-foot stud 1 week. The next week we paid $14.50. So that was just over the course of a week. It was a different supplier, but it's just the Wild West out there.
Right.
But even an issue we're having now is pigment for brick. I'm waiting on to receive some brick to work on the houses I'm working on, and they can't get enough pigment from this manufacturer. I don't know if it's Canadian or American, so they can't even make this one type of brick. So you're sitting on your hands.
It's not a specialty brick. It's
a standard brick. It's so like this year it's all about patience. People are short labor. People are short material. I was talking to the vacuum guy who does all the central vacuum today. He actually bought a special machine so he can make his own vacuum pipe. But he has to order all the fittings, the 90s, the T's and everything.
Right.
And he's just at their mercy. There's just so much demand for all of this product, and they can't keep up.
And we have friends who the shipping prices out of China are just.
Oh yeah.
He told me about that today too. It used to be about $2,800 for a container.
Yeah.
Now it's about 10,000.
It's almost 4 times.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So shipping costs have gone up almost 4 times.
And not only that is whoever pays the most gets their container on the ship. So you might be expecting it to go out tomorrow, but if there's another higher bidder, that container is going to go on that ship.
My word. It's crazy though, because actually, my neighbors of mine, they actually work in this industry. That's actually their job is to, I think they call themselves a broker, right? But there's certain things that aren't selling, right? There's all sorts of parts of the economy that aren't selling. Mm-hmm. Apologies, the thing that pops in my head is condoms because people aren't going out. Apologies, that's what came into my head. Right? So like, there's no business for it, right? Because people aren't going out, right? But versus like other things like car parts and lumber and copper, all this, there's lots of demand for that, so that's all getting shipped.
Right.
It's just a weird thing. And then copper's I heard
Metal's
double.
gone crazy. Yeah.
But part of the problem is that it's used in a lot of other things. It's actually needed for car batteries, I believe. All sorts of batteries, I understand.
A lot of applications, yeah.
A lot of applications. But lumber is just for...
It's wild.
Not my firewood. It's
Especially speaking of how much wood we have in our backyard here.
Yeah.
But
do you see... Is there end in sight to the leaf in the backlog, at least of lumber?
I haven't read any positive articles about things getting better.
Yeah, because I heard it was actually bad.
I wouldn't specifically say I'm going to wait to do this project for a year and hope the prices drop.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Because if everyone remembers reading stories about like beetles eating trees in BC, that was part of the problem. And then the whole like forest fires things that we've had in the West Coast.
Yeah.
So there's actually no trees. Like if they cut more trees, they're cutting younger trees that they're not supposed to. So there doesn't really seem to be.
For us, you just bite the bullet. Do you know what? We needed the lumber. You just buy it and carry on.
Right. So for existing real estate, so for people who already own real estate, I'm pretty sure all our insurance is going to go up because of replacement costs, and then just naturally inflation will cause all our real estate to go up.
For even builders, is obviously it's going to fall back onto the purchasers.
Yeah.
So the developers and builders, they're going to put that into the cost.
But you guys still push forward, eh? Which is why I was laughing at the beginning. You guys you just sell this to someone else to build it, but you guys want to push ahead and build it yourself.
Well, if you hire a builder and they give you a fixed rate and the lumber prices go crazy, you're all good. For us,
I know people who have lost money.
Right.
I know several people who have lost money in the rental side and the building side because they did fixed price.
Right.
Fixed price with all the material costs skyrocketing. They've lost money on their
labor
jobs.
costs.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good sentence to put in your contracts. Is if a material allowances. If it goes up greater than 5% or 10%, the client's on the hook. But for an example, is our most recent build, we budgeted about $35,000 for lumber, and I think our total bill is going to be around $60,000. So that comes right out of contingency, and that's why you have your contingency, but double or like a little bit more.
How's the deal going to work out if you've wiped out your contingency?
Well, that's what we've saved that contingency for that, but we were fortunate enough the appreciation and the demand for this product has helped increase the value.
Part of the problem is actually kind of helped as well.
Right. Now that
part of the problem
said,
is housing demand.
If we didn't get what we wanted, we could just hold on to them. They're very cash flowing great assets.
Right.
So that, as a
we
backup,
were actually initially planning to hold.
Yeah.
That was our intention at the beginning.
Which property is this one?
Weston, Eden.
Yeah.
Okay.
We wanted to hold.
The one that failed the marble test.
Yeah. Not the new houses.
Not the new houses. That's right. Yeah. But for us, it was a decision. We would love to hold everything. These are great cash flowing assets.
Yeah.
Commanding premium rents. However, we want to grow as a team, grow the company. We're looking for more projects. Yeah. So we choose to sell some, put that capital into new projects.
You sell the old ones and you keep the new ones. It's not bad actually.
Right. You just get better product.
I feel that's what I've done through your team. We sold a lot in the last year. We just sold another one last week.
Yeah. That's a good one. I'm supposed to buy dinner tonight. There's much to celebrate.
Actually, that's even better. That was both your team. It was James and Tammy.
Yeah. We it's in Hamilton. It's ours. St. Catherine's ours.
You gotta go back to Mr. Hamilton, man.
Yeah. Haven't seen that jersey for a while.
He's still the latest
because we're not seeing each other.
Just make sure you keep that domain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I still have it. So cost per square foot gone up 30-40%, seems like.
Yeah.
Your labor cost has gone up?
Labor has gone up a bit, but it's just a lot of trades. It's hard to even get labor.
Yeah.
So that's what's increased that is everyone's so busy. We were trying to find landscapers the last 2 months, and you can find little parts and pieces or people that can maybe do a fence only and a deck only, or they just can't do 2 decks, 200 feet of fencing, grading, and sodding. Like they're just, we had to beg, borrow, and steal to get that done.
You steal other people's fences to build your own.
Actually, we were comparing quotes, and it was for Violet 3 years ago. I guess maybe 2 summers ago. Was
38 or 35.
$35 a linear foot for a 6-foot privacy fence.
Yeah, including labor and materials.
Yeah, our quote yesterday, $68 a linear foot.
It's almost
double.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard of people getting $80
Yeah.
a linear foot. Yeah, this is way more.
Just go steal a fence.
Well,
No one's
be
stealing
surprised.
copper out of houses anymore. We're stealing fences and deck boards.
It's almost cheaper to build them out of brick these days.
Crazy.
Brick fence.
So
You can't get dye though.
yeah, true enough.
Build
So
it out of
back to
aluminum.
chain link. Back to chain link.
There you go. Is that any problem with that?
No, not optimum, but
Get her done.
Or just cedar trees.
there you go. Bless.
Bless you.
I have more. Sorry. So you guys have a course apparently?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're running it next weekend, actually.
No. It's November. So you're running it May 29th.
May 29th.
So months from
30th.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 months from now. It's already sold out, by the way.
Yeah. Sorry.
Wow, you guys are
6
good.
months in advance.
Yeah.
You should. Do you have another date?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, maybe
But,
November of
yeah.
maybe in 12 months.
I would just say, yeah, we're super excited for this course, and I think we're very surprised and not surprised at the demand for the course. There's a lot of people that are sick of battling for that Hamilton Mountain bungalow with the side entrance.
That's because they have a shitty agent. We'll find them for you.
Right, come to Irwin. But with that said, is they want to step up to the next level.
Yeah.
They want to do development, or maybe they have 3, 4, 5 rentals, and that the next logical step is some people go commercial. But I think all in all is everyone wants to try the development game, and I think the demand is, well, we've seen it with the number of students we have signed up. And it's just a really cool process for us to be able to share basically all of our mistakes, but share our knowledge that we didn't have access to.
Yeah, so it's 2 full days, jam packed.
It could be 3. It could be 3 days
intense,
easy.
Actually. It could be even longer.
Yeah.
But we take them step by step from A to Z, going through the whole development process. We talk about construction.
Yep.
We talk about build options before construction. We talk about financing. We have guest speakers come. So we'll talk about taxes,
Right.
financing, legal, planning. So we have them come. And we also talk about some of the secondary suites, as well as the garden suites that we talked about earlier.
Backyard
So there's
suites.
The backyard suites. So it's very intense, but at the end of this 2-day course, our goal is for the students to be able to feel confident to be able to go through an infill development on their own. And we've seen people do it.
Yep.
We have a private Facebook group where people share like successes and help each other out on there. So it's been very good, and it's been quite fulfilling for us to try to, let's say, help other people pay it forward.
Yeah. And I wish we had a sample here, but we have a...
I have it over there,
Oh,
actually.
do you? And we've got a probably, I guess it's 2.5 inch thick, 400-page document.
Do you want to see it? It's over there.
Just
400 pages.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. I'll
Probably
show
even
you.
a little bit more.
I'll show you.
Double-sided.
It's right there. It's right in the green bag.
You hire someone to read it?
Well, it's what we teach, and it's a great reference guide. So even for myself, like I know construction, and I'm slowly getting to know development, but even for myself, it's something I go back to.
You know what's crazy? Like I consider that like the Bible, but it's still an intro. There's so much to this. We're learning still day to day and everything. That intro will definitely be good enough to get students started. But obviously, there's a lot more to learn. We've tried to pack it with like the most valuable tips. So in the book, actually, we have like these blue highlighted squares that are like big money saving tips or whatever. And if someone doesn't want to read the whole thing,
Just read the blue.
just go read
Yeah.
those blue boxes.
Yeah.
Those are the golden nuggets, I'd
Yeah.
say, through the binder.
Cool.
A lot of work we put into that, but like the final product, I'm very proud of. I think all 3 of us are.
Yeah. So we've held it once. We held it in person last year.
You broke all the laws yet?
Yeah.
I think
It was legal.
within.
It was legal. It was legal.
As long as you wear a mask, it was all good.
Yeah, exactly. 6 feet apart. This time we're doing it on Zoom though. We're going virtual. It's too risky. Uncertain with the laws and everything like that. So we're going virtual.
Right.
We're very fortunate to have a friend, Erwin, that's going to let us use his facility. And it's going to be really cool. We got the proper setup. We got the proper camera. We got the proper audio.
We should do it at his new house.
Yeah.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, in the backyard.
The
We can still switch.
Go for a dip.
That'd be awesome.
I think it'd be a lighting challenge, but
Oh, we'll figure it out.
I'll risk
We got
it.
Adam, we got Deshaun.
Yeah. So, no, we're really excited.
awesome. Where can people get more details?
Go to infilldevelopments.com. You can find details of the course, details of the project, a little bit about ourselves.
How to get in touch.
There's a free tools and resources guide.
Actually, yeah, it's very handy. If
download.
you're going to do nothing, just go get that download. It's just like your first steps and what do I look for? Where do I look for?
Yeah.
So those tools and resources are all free online, and they help you analyze deals. So that's actually a very, very
stuff
handy
that we
report.
use every day ourselves, and they're all free. So it's all the links are on that guide.
Yeah.
Because I know some of you guys are capitalists, but I know Andy's actually big on housing affordability and densification.
Actually,
I think we're all capitalists for sure. However, I think there's opportunities for more housing. I think in Canada, one of the biggest problems why housing is so expensive is just it's so hard to build.
Yeah.
And if
We
prices
don't,
come down,
we don't have that much densification.
yeah, I mean, if prices flatten out a little bit, but we can have people, either own their houses or have affordable rent or whatever it is. I think it's a good thing.
one thing Andy's amazing at is where I see, okay, we can maybe squeeze 2. Andy's already like, oh, we can fit like 4 in there.
Yeah, so when you've spent enough time in downtown Toronto and,
Yeah.
and Japan, sometimes you'll see kind of these opportunities.
But like where he thought, I thought like a 1-bedroom basement was like max. He's like, no, we can get a 2nd bedroom in there, and we did.
And you get more rent for it.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
even
that's exactly what we did.
the existing house at the corner of Weston, like, let's duplex it. Didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, you're used to building like big houses, aren't you?
Not that big, but it's just the train of thought is different, I would say. And obviously it's based off your experience.
Yeah, it's trending there too. It's
Yeah.
trending.
Yeah.
People are like, thinking about like, living smaller as well, right?
Yeah.
So,
But it's simple economics though for the affordability. Quite simply, we just need more supply.
Yeah.
We need more housing supply to help with the affordability.
It's simple for us we get more cash flow.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you, Erwin.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Erwin.
Awesome. Actually, before we finish, I like to give my guests the final word. So, without any direction from me, anything you want to share? Anything we haven't discussed already?
I think the one thing I would say for anyone doing contracting this year is, like I said before, is patience. Patience with yourself, patience with your contractors, patience with your suppliers, patience with your trades. Everybody's kind of battling a lot of different elements here. So that's just one thing I've kind of tried to just, instead of like yelling and asking for the owner isn't going to do anything this year. It's if someone's telling me they don't have something, I know it's the honest truth, or it's yeah. So I would just say keyword this year, patience.
And I think I would say I'd recommend the listeners check out Infill Developments. We believe it's just this a very cool and interesting strategy that a lot of people aren't aware of. It's very niche. It's too small for the big builders. They don't want to buy these lots. Yet the average investor or average person thinks it's too difficult. So that almost helps us when we're doing acquisitions, if it's on the market, to be able to come with stronger offers. Because we're going to pay a little bit. We're able to pay a little bit more of a premium for the development potential. So, and not only that,
we bought you guys pieces of crap that nobody else wanted.
Exactly.
And we paid a lot for it.
And the other thing would be that, like Andy said earlier, is that a lot of your listeners might even have the land in their existing portfolio. So highly recommend listeners, look online, try to learn a little bit about infill developments. It could be a good strategy to have in your tool belt.
Yeah, because Coach, when he found out he had a lot that he could sever, like, didn't he just like instant equity?
Oh yeah,
from
sure.
nothing.
It's
from doing nothing
free,
different.
It's free land.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah.
Give it a shot.
Yeah. And I would just say it's the opportunities are there, right? Like, don't wait. I mean, some people think maybe the market has softened. It might be a good chance right now to go and get the deal. So there's always deals. It's just, for us, it's just a matter of time to be able to go through the deals. But every time we spend a little bit of time going through them, whether it's on market, off market, you're gonna find them, right? So they can go straight to you, Erwin, and find the properties right now.
Yeah, because we found you almost all of them.
Yeah.
Please, folks, don't come to us for Wasaga Beach deals. Awesome. All right, thanks
Erwin.
guys.
All right.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Good
Erwin.
stuff.